By the time you watch this video, I will have generated $4 million in sales by posting content so I become known to prospects. I'm going to share with you how I did it, give you the checklist and systems so you can do it too. But before I share it with you, just give me 30 seconds so I can explain why I had to create this process and how it'll guarantee to get people asking you to become customers. And then for the rest of the video, I'll screen share and give you all the tools and how to use them. Now, as usual, if you want free access to everything you see in this video, just click on the link below. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Raj Jha, and I've founded 5 companies and taken a company public. But the thing that changed the game was when I started publishing certain kinds of content regularly. Now, it not only let my market know about my business, but it made sales calls so much easier. And it also let me delegate to my team so I became less hands-on, and I'm going to show you how. Now, I used to post randomly on LinkedIn and just not keep up with it, and I just felt it was too hard. But right now, I'm going to solve that for you. I share this and other strategies with over 1,000 entrepreneurs in my CEO Workbench community, and today, I'm going to give you a part of that system for free. When we think about branding, the key is leverage, and it's leverage in a bunch of different ways. Number one, you want leverage in creating the materials, and we're going to show you exactly how to do that. Number two, the fact that you're creating materials, that gives you leverage because you are putting something out in the world that is going to be more than a you one-on-one having to deal with a customer or a potential customer. You are cloning yourself, and that's what gives you huge leverage. So this is all about leverage. So let's talk about the model that I use to do this, and I call it the 4 Ps model, and the parts of the 4 Ps model are produce, process, publish, and then promote. And I'm going to go through each one of those and show you how you can get some pretty amazing results with personal branding and attaching that to your business, because I've gotten almost $4 million by the time that you're watching this video. You will have cleared the $4 million in revenue generated directly from things that I put online and promoting my businesses. Now, this is not promoting myself. This is not being an influencer. This is using my personal brand and my background in order to promote my own business. So it doesn't have to be icky. You don't have to think of yourself as some kind of influencer for it. Rather, you can think that you're influencing people to think about ideas and concepts, not you. You're just the vehicle for that. So by using this process, it's going to be not icky at all, and you're going to be able to have huge leverage. So let's get into it. The first step in the 4 Ps is to produce. And the questions that you're going to have is, what should I create? What format should I create them in? How do I get leads? And then we're going to go over something called the triple play, which is one of your biggest leverage keys. So digging in further, what should you create? This is a tool that I've created, and it will really help simplify you creating content. And here's why. I call it the authority content builder. And it's the problem that most people have is, what do I actually write about or create videos about, or whatever the medium is that you're creating something in? How do I figure out what to write about? I show up in the morning and I've got to put down my LinkedIn article or whatever you're thinking you're going to create, and you don't know what to write about. So this is going to make it easy because it's going to give you a calendar of things to write about that will always work, and then you can double down on what works. It's called the Authority Content Builder, and how you use it is you list the problems that your ideal client or customer have at the top. So 5 big problems, the things that they're grappling with, which your products, your services, your company can solve. So it is a problem that you have a solution to. Now, the fact is that most people don't give a shit about you. They don't care about you. They do care about their own problems, though. And if you can position yourself as a solution to help them with a problem that they have, then they're going to start listening to you. So that's why we frame it in terms of problems. It's their problems, not your solutions. Most people are marketing, I got this stuff. And that's kind of like they're pulling up the snack truck, right? The canteen truck, and they're saying, here's what I got. You want it? And people might want it, might not. Maybe they luck into a starving crowd. Maybe they don't. But ultimately, your content, no one's starving for your content. There is so much content out there that they don't want your content unless it speaks to the one thing that they want, which is solving a problem. So you first spend a little bit of time thinking through, what are the 5 top problems that my prospects have? And you write it down on the top. Then I've given you down the side some formats: a Q&A, a how-to, winners and losers, gotchas before buying, surprising facts, and why buy from the best. Now, all of these are ways of talking about that content. So let's say that problem number one is that your prospect doesn't have any time. I don't know what you're selling. Let's just pretend that their real problem is they don't have any time. So, and they're in a particular niche. Let's say they're accountants who have no time. Just map this onto whatever yours is. A Q&A might be that why do accountants not have the time that they need? That could be a Q&A answer. A how-to. How to free up 10 hours in your week as an accountant. Winners and losers. Accountants who have lots of free time do this. Those that don't do this. Gotchas before buying. And you might talk then more about your product, but like when choosing product X, here's things that will overwhelm you and take you more time. Here are things that will save you time. Surprising facts. Did you know that this kind of accountant or this kind of practice or this kind of billing methodology will cause you to spend less time? Why buy from the best? How blank, kind of your industry, will actually improve the amount of time that you spend. So I just spitballed this here, never worked with accountants, but this is kind of how you would use it. Now, as you can see, when you fill in this thing, you spend 20 minutes, half an hour filling this thing out. You've got 5 boxes across the top, 6 boxes down there. You now have 30 pieces of content you can write. We've just taken all of the confusion out of writing this. And here's the thing. Every problem and format solution there can be written about multiple ways. So you have your monthly content calendar here. If you were to write one piece of content every day, I'm not saying you have to, we'll go into frequency later, but if you were to write one piece a day, you could just do this and then repeat it again the next month. Because first of all, not everyone's going to see everything that you post. And second of all, that you can spin it in a different way. There are multiple ways. There are multiple Q&As that you can have. So you now have a template. There are now no excuses to, I don't know what to write about. Because here, you have the answer. So you can spin this multiple ways. Now, the other thing you can do is to get smarter over time. I talk a lot about this in Scientific Entrepreneurship, which is like, hey, how do I get better at this all the time? One thing you can do is run this for 90 days. And then you'll see certain things are working. Certain formats work better. Certain questions work better. And it's going to be different for every business, for every person because of how they communicate. But you might find out that what's working best for you are how-tos and gotchas and surprising facts, and Q&As is not working well. Fantastic. Just cross those off and do more of the things that work and go back and revisit it. Some of the problems will resonate with more. People will comment more on those. Some of them won't. You just do it again, and then you get smarter and smarter. And this is how you zigzag, using a scientific way towards content that's actually going to work. So now you know what to create. I've made it super easy. Spent 30 minutes on this, and you have a plan. The next thing is to have that medium that you're going to master, okay? Pick one. Don't go and boil the ocean. Just because you might see that I happen to be on LinkedIn and on Facebook and on Twitter and on YouTube and doesn't mean that you should start there. I've done this for multiple years. I've built lots of systems and processes, and we'll get to that later on here, how you can do that too. But start with one, okay? And just master one. And then the second thing is to have a set structure to increase your speed. So what I suggest doing is finding a few pieces of content that really resonates with your audience and resonates with you. So you could find a competitor, you can find other folks who are posting in the space, and look at their content and say, what's the structure that they use? Is it story-based? Is it more fact-based? What is it really? And use that structure. I'm not saying steal the content. Absolutely not. I am saying use proven structures. Okay? And then choose. Are you going to do long form? Are you going to do short form? It kind of depends on your business. What are your users? What are your customers expecting to see? Where are they? That might determine which ones you use. Okay? And then what does well for you? So like I said, testing. So how do you get leads? The best way to get leads from this is to offer a download link, which is every once in a while, in one of those formats, a Q&A, for instance, you can actually have the download, which is a checklist to solve a particular problem. You can have a white paper. There are multiple kinds of downloads. Now, a download has to be something that is valuable to the audience. It is not your sales collateral. No one wants your sales shit. What they want is to solve their problem. So even if it has materials in it that is about your solution, it can't be only about your solution. And you can't lead with that. What you need to lead with is, hey, here's something that's helpful to you, prospect, because that's what's going to get them to download it. And then in that, you can give them the thing that's helpful and then also show that you have a solution that's even more helpful than the free thing that you gave them. But offering a download is a great way to do this. And there's a couple ways of doing it. Number one, you can put a link inside your post and say, go get it here. Or you can put something that says, DM me, direct message me, in whatever platform it is, and then ask them to go do that and direct message you. There are some more advanced ways of doing this. There's all kinds of technology around it, but this is the really basic stuff. We're just getting your training wheels on here to show you that it works. So offering a download is really important because you're starting to build an email list, all right? A really straightforward email list, because these are all the people who have inquired at one point or another. That means they had the pain point that you have been writing about, one of those 5 problems. They've had that problem, and they've taken the next step, which is they want to know more about that problem. Now, that doesn't mean they're ready to buy, right? The analogy that I often use is you've just met the girl in the bar. It doesn't mean they're ready to get married, but they've met you. Maybe they're willing to take the next date, and the next date is getting to know you a little more. Do you have cool things to say? Well, if that download is a cool thing to say, then it might proceed from there. But you don't jump from at the bar, hey, want to get married? That's not going to get you a good spouse, and it's going to have a really low hit rate. So that's how you get leads, by offering a download of some sort. Now let's talk about the triple play. This is about getting more bang for your time. I talked at the beginning about leverage. Leverage, leverage, leverage. Everything about this is about leverage. So how do you get the most bang for your time? There are a bunch of different media that you could use. You could have video, you could audio, you could have text, you could have images. Here's the issue. If you try to do all of them, that's a lot of work. And if you just try to do one of them, you might get really good at it. So assuming you're willing to be on video, the highest yield thing you can do is be on video. Why do you think I'm on video right now? Why do you think I create all these YouTube things? Because when I get video, I get audio. I can strip that audio and put it in a different format, like a podcast. I get text because I can transcribe the video and turn that into an article. And I get images because when I'm doing video, a training like this, I'll have screenshots, I'll have things that I can share. So by doing one format and getting really good at one format, I get all of them. So the triple play is, can you get multiple things from one? So I record a video and I get 3 additional things from it. So maybe you don't want to be on video. So maybe you're not like me, and not that I want to be on video, but I am on video. Maybe you don't want to be on video. That's okay. You can still record the video and never release that and get all the other benefits, because you can still take that transcript, get it transcribed, plenty of software that can do that, basically free, and you can turn it into text. And you can take the audio and you can do that, turn the audio version, and you can get images out of that. And with the magic of AI, you can actually do a lot of this really quickly. You can just ramble into video or into audio. You can use the recorder on your phone and have AI turn that into articles. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. So the next P is process. And there are 2 things about that: the production line and the publication line. So the production line is all the stuff that gets the thing from the raw recording. So right now I'm talking into a microphone and I'm in front of a camera and I've got a presentation up. And then after that, this will go into a production line. And that production line will have it chopped up into various little pieces. We'll have like video editors go over, etc. So that's my production line. And even before this happened, there was a production line of, well, what should we create a video about, making sure we gather all the materials, create the slide deck. So the whole production line. And then afterwards is the publication line. Well, this has to go to multiple different places. And regardless of what kind of media you're using, this will always be true. And at the beginning, if you're just starting out, don't get overwhelmed. Just because I've said I'm doing all those things doesn't mean you have to do all those things. Most of the money that I made from having a personal brand, mostly associated with a specific business, was based on 2 things. A few videos. I recorded, I think, about 25 to 30 videos, and then I stopped because I had a library of those videos, and everything else was written content, mostly on LinkedIn. So that's all you need to do, but you can do more to get better results. And you do that by having these 2 lines, the production line and the publication line. So what is this? First is the production line. All right, we've gone over the authority content builder, so you now know what you're writing about or what you're creating about. The second is to outline and not script. I find this really hard personally. I sometimes can't operate without a script. I'm operating without a script right now, but I sometimes can't operate without a script. But I've found that training myself to just do an outline makes it way, way faster. The outline, if I just have like 3 bullet points on each one and I riff on it, the fact is, if I can't riff on it, I probably don't know enough about the topic to be creating a training for you or to be creating any kind of marketing. The things that you should be talking about are the things that you are so good at that you don't need a script. So as much as we all like to have a script, try to work towards just having an outline. This can be hard, but that's my suggestion in making the production line faster. Next, make a download. So one of the things that you can do to create a download is take your script and then turn that into a download. So some folks can say, would you like to download the resources, including the script for this? As you might have noticed, I do this all the time. I say, I've got a bunch of resources, like I just showed you the Authority Content Builder. This is a real tool that I use, and I've just given it to you, and that's the download. When I offer a video like this, somebody's going to want that tool. Well, that's what the download is. All right? Then you do the recording, and then you do the handoff. This is very important. What is not here in the production line for me? Video editing and changing formats. These are not there because this is not my zone of genius. This is not, frankly, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, you are probably not making good use of your time if you are doing video editing. Unless you have some really, really niche kind of content, and maybe your content is about video editing and you really are showing off your mad video editing skills, this is not something you should be spending time on. There are so many more higher value things you can do, and video editors, really good ones, can be had very affordably, especially if you go offshore. So the handoff happens at this point. And my goal with this is I do the very front end, helping to determine what is this piece of content going to be talking about. And at this point I've gotten to, I can have my team do a bunch of the research and then create the slide deck. And I show up and I record the slide, I review the slide deck, I show up, I record the slide deck, and then it goes away and then it comes back to me for final approval. So all those other steps you don't need to do as you scale this up. At the beginning, it might be simpler if you're just doing written materials, because you don't have to do the recording and you can, by and large, do the writing yourself. But you still should think about these same things. You should have your Authority Content Builder. You should start with an outline. You should make a download. Instead of recording, it might be written, and then handoff for publishing. Don't schedule it yourself. Have someone else be managing that calendar. So recording tips. You have a couple of choices. You can do face to camera. You can do a slide deck. You can do both, which is what I'm doing right now. If you're doing screen recording, there's lots of software. As of now, Camtasia, ScreenFlow on the Mac. You can use Loom. You can use Riverside. There's a bunch of choices. I don't advocate for any of them. I actually use 3 of these, depending on the situation. ScreenFlow, Loom, and Riverside. They all work differently and better for some things than other, but they can all work. It doesn't really matter. The point is that you're getting out there. You do not need this cinema quality everything. You need good enough. But good enough does include face the camera. Use a tripod. Don't be holding the phone. I know this is like some of these influencer creator stuff. They're holding up the phone kind of thing. And maybe that's fine for a short form video. No one wants to watch that for an hour, so I wouldn't do that. The next thing is to batch it. Today is Friday. Today is my content creation day. I have just spent several hours creating things. Now, why have I done that? Because now I will have a bunch of content that can be loaded for 2 months worth of stuff. Batch it. Don't try to do it every day. Some folks can, for like short form content, they can make that work. But by and large, if you're an entrepreneur and you're running a real business that's not just the content itself, you've got team members, you're doing other things, it is very hard to fit in and you're going to fall behind. It's much easier to say, this is my day of the month in which I am doing this, and I'm batching it, because then you can be focused, you can turn off all your messaging, all the things that go beep in the night, and just focus on creating content, right? That is absolutely the best way to do it. And the last thing is, done is better than perfect. You're going to screw up. I've probably screwed up multiple times on this recording and don't even realize it, but it's going to get done, and I'm going to give value on this. Is it perfect? Could it be better? Probably, but it's done, and I know that I've given good value because this process of creating this thing, I made sure of that at the outline phase. So I don't have to be worried right now, because I knew at the outline phase, here's what I'm trying to communicate. Here's the value I'm trying to give. And here's what I'm trying to get people to do and help themselves with, and how I might be able to help them in the future. So done is better than perfect. Now there's this handoff, which I put in the earlier slide. Do not manage your own publication schedule. It's not a good use of your time. Once the process is established, now you might want to do it at the beginning, and I will admit that I do this at the beginning. I will very often do it all myself at the beginning. Maybe when your organization grows, at this point, I have a chief of staff, I have someone who's handling these things, so I don't do it. But at the very beginning, I absolutely did everything myself, but not for long enough to understand how it's done, and then find someone to delegate it to. And I think that's pretty important, because things like uploading stuff into the publication platform of your choice is not worth your time. It really isn't. It's something that can be handled with a standard operating procedure. You've got a checklist. It'll be handled the same way. And someone else is able to do this for a fraction of your time. And most importantly, it frees up your mental energy, because posting on all these platforms, you get sucked into it in one way or another. You go down a rabbit hole, and it's making you ignore other things that are more important. A few other quick tips for recording: audio matters. So especially with face to camera, but even now, you'll see I got this. It's actually not a terribly fancy microphone, because it's, I think, 15 years old, and it was not terribly expensive, but it's pretty good. And the idea here is that audio matters. In fact, audio matters more than the video quality, because if you've ever listened to something where it's like the audio sounds like someone speaking from across the room, or it's like only in one ear and not the other, the audio absolutely matters. So pay attention to that. And then again, don't overthink it. Perfect is the enemy of done. Just get it done. So that is really the basics of how to produce content. You've now got a calendar. You know what to publish. You know how to publish it. You're getting out of the way. This is the kind of stuff that is going to get you results. I know this was actually relatively straightforward. It seems like, well, that can't be all there is. Well, actually, that is all there is. What we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to put together that matrix, and it's going to give you what to publish on. You're going to choose a medium, and you're going to decide, oh, I'm going to do LinkedIn, or I'm going to do Facebook, or I'm going to do Twitter. You're going to choose it based on where your audience is, and you're going to make a format, and then you're going to be consistent about doing it. You're going to be consistent about doing it for a period of at least 90 days. You're going to batch it so it doesn't feel like you have to be there all the time on the platform. It's good to show up every day and answer your direct messages and your posts and replies, but you don't have to be there every single day posting. Somebody else is going to manage that. And if you do this for 90 days, I can assure you, you will learn a ton about what your market wants. You're going to learn a ton about your prospects. You're going to learn a ton about the best way to make content. But what will probably happen for a lot of you is you're going to try this, you're going to get very excited, and you're going to try this, and then you're going to fall off the wagon in about 2 weeks. I'm going to tell you that is not how this is going to work. You are not going to get anywhere by doing that. So I would say the best thing to do right now is pull open your calendar and make a commitment to yourself to doing a batch content day. So I would schedule your first one to do a batch content day to fill out the authority content builder, and then start writing a bunch of pieces, outlining them, and then schedule another day to do creation. That creation could be writing, it could be recording like this, it could be any of those things. But regardless, what you're going to do is make time for it, and you're going to spend the time doing it. Now, there's more good stuff on the CEO workbench. This is just a little interstitial slides here, but we're going to continue on to publish. So where should I publish? Should I keep it deep in one platform? Should I go shallow into many platforms? I would say pick one, master it, then go on to the other one. That's LinkedIn was my main platform. It now has changed. It's now YouTube for the secondary of Twitter, and I am on LinkedIn, but it changes. It changes based on where your audience is and how they're consuming the content. So even though I got great results on LinkedIn, I noticed that the results were changing. And I noticed that I actually could create better content by going on other media. And that's why I went there. But I wouldn't have found this out if I hadn't scheduled it out and really figured out this is what's resonating. So that's what my suggestion is. I would go deep in one, master it, and then start expanding from there. Commenting and engagement, you should be there. You should try to be there on a regular basis. Maybe not every day if that's too much for you, but at least every other day, because if someone comments on a replies to one of your posts, you want to get back to them. And the faster you get back to them, the more the algorithms kind of reward you for being there, because of course, their job is to suck us into their world and keep us there. So what can happen and is helpful is if you have a posting schedule. Remember, someone else is scheduling this for you, and I do this, which is I know that a post is going out at 7:30 a.m., let's say. So as my kids are getting ready for school, etc., I'll just flip open the phone and I'll look at if there's any replies to the post, and I'll reply to them so that they're getting a quick reply. So my first and most fervent fans are getting a reply quickly. And if there aren't any, then I'll just close it up and then check again like late in the day or the next day, not really worrying about it too much. But it's sometimes helpful to get on those early posts and reward people for responding to your posts with a reply. So that is the publish phase of this. Now, the last stage is to promote. Now, you have to promote your content, because if you do not promote your content, it is not going to be seen by anybody. You probably have experienced this in the past, which is that you post something and no one responds. That's actually pretty typical. And one of the reasons why I say spend 90 days doing this is starting the flywheel. This is starting you to get into the habit of exercising and of posting on a regular basis, and it will start to get noticed more because guess what? Those platforms are going to surface content that it thinks more people are going to engage with. They're going to engage with the content which is more likely to resonate with them. How do you know it resonates? Because you're posting and you're seeing, even if some people just have a few answers here and there, a few replies here and there, but you're also seeing how many impressions it got. So how many people actually saw this thing? And the higher that number, it means, oh, well, this was more interesting. So the platform pushed it to more people. So you're going to learn through this process, and you have to promote your content one way or another, but you can't just be posting. So here's the way you can promote it. Number one, if you have an email list, and if you don't, you should get an email list. You should start working on that right away. If you have an email list, you can promote pieces of content to your email list and say, here's our LinkedIn, here is our Twitter. You can also say, I'm posting something to your email list. I'm posting something cool on such and such a day. Make sure to check me out on LinkedIn for that. For instance, on the email list, I will push when there's a new video coming out because they're going to want to see that video. So I'll push that there. A bunch more people will see it. This is how you get it seen. You can also do cross-posting between social media platforms, which is to say on Twitter, for instance, go see my LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, go see my Twitter. That's another way to do it. Commenting. So when you are starting from zero, and let's say that you don't have an email list, let's say you're only on one platform, how do you get people to look at your stuff? You do it by commenting. You go to other people's posts, and those people, you're going to comment on their posts, and the people you're commenting on are those people who have the same audience as you do. So they could be competitors, but they could be also just complementary businesses. That's a really good way to do it because your competitors might not like it if you're posting on their stuff, and why start a beef there, right? But if you find complementary businesses who have the same kind of customers you do, by spending half an hour commenting, a bunch of those people will see you and they'll click over to you, and then they'll see your posts, and then they'll start reading your posts and start following you. So I know it seems very labor intensive, but that is one of the ways to start from a cold start. There's also cross-posting where you have a bunch of other folks that you are in what they call an engagement group with. This is kind of gray area stuff, but you can have an engagement group where you all agree to comment on each other's posts. And what that does is it starts the platform saying, oh, well, there's some engagement here, so therefore I'm going to show it to more people to see if they engage. So that's another thing that you can do. So all of these things are about promoting it, because if all you do is post into the void, nothing's going to happen. So you do have to take that final step of actually promoting it. So there you have it. It's the 4 Ps. It's how you get a ton of leverage. It's how I have made a lot of money by using my personal brand, because people would rather follow a person than a brand. It's very important that you think about this in terms of connecting with real people. That doesn't mean that you have to be on social media 24/7. I'm not. I, in fact, have a blocker app on my phone which stops me from going there except at designated times, because I want to make sure that I never get sucked into their vortex. I want to be a producer, not a consumer. And if you take that mindset and you just do this for 90 days, I guarantee you it's going to be quite a different world in terms of what you understand is possible with social media and your social brand. You've just seen one of the many systems that I have for scaling my business, and that one was all about using your personal brand, but there are many more. And what you want to know next is, how do I do this scientifically? In other words, how do I stop guessing? How do I know what is the next right move for my business? And how can I make sure that I'm investing time and money in a smart way? If that's what you want to know, this is the video for you.